Welcome to today's news discussion. I'm Claire, and joining me is Alan.
Hello, I'm Alan. We're covering several key stories today, starting with international relations and moving into various global news events.
Let's begin with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to New Zealand. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon announced that PM Modi will undertake his first official visit next week.
That's significant because it's the first time PM Modi is visiting New Zealand. What are the key focuses of this visit likely to be?
According to the reports, the visit aims to enhance economic ties between the two countries, particularly following the recent New Zealand-India Free Trade Agreement.
The Free Trade Agreement is a major development. How does this agreement potentially impact the bilateral relations between India and New Zealand?
The agreement is expected to boost bilateral trade and investment. New Zealand Prime Minister Luxon described India as one of the world's largest and fastest-growing economies, indicating a strong potential for mutual economic benefit.
That makes sense. So the visit is likely a step towards implementing and expanding on this trade agreement. Are there any other significant aspects of the visit mentioned in the reports?
The reports highlight that the leaders will take the two countries' relationship to the next level. While specific details aren't provided, it's clear that the visit is seen as a significant diplomatic engagement.
It's interesting that Luxon emphasized India's growing economy. This suggests that New Zealand is keen to tap into India's economic potential.
Exactly. And it's not just about economics. Such visits often involve discussions on regional security, cultural exchanges, and other areas of cooperation.
Moving on to a different story, 3 men were recently acquitted of murdering Belfast journalist Lyra McKee. What were the circumstances surrounding her death?
Lyra McKee was shot while covering a riot in Derry/Londonderry in 2019. The shooting was attributed to a dissident Irish Republican Army splinter group.
The acquittal must have been a significant development for her family and the community. What was the reasoning behind the acquittal?
According to Judge Patricia Smith, the evidence presented was insufficient for a conviction. This decision was made despite the serious nature of the charges.
I see. The case was clearly complex. How did McKee's family react to the verdict?
The reports indicate that McKee's family expressed disappointment with the acquittal, reflecting the emotional toll such cases take on the victim's loved ones.
It's a tragic situation. The acquittal doesn't necessarily mean the suspects were innocent, just that there wasn't enough evidence to convict them.
That's right. The legal process requires a high standard of proof, and sometimes that means acquittals even in cases where there's significant public belief in the suspect's guilt.
Let's shift to another story involving former President Donald Trump, who recently appeared on Usha Vance's podcast. What was notable about his appearance?
Trump was invited to read a children's book, but he veered off script to comment on his predecessors, his physique, and his time in the White House.
That's consistent with Trump's style of deviating from prepared remarks. What were some of the specific comments he made?
The reports mention that he offered a running commentary on various topics, including past presidents and his own experiences in the White House.
It sounds like he used the platform to make broader political and personal commentary. Was there any particular reaction to his remarks?
The reports don't detail specific reactions, but given Trump's notoriety for making unconventional comments, it's likely his appearance generated significant discussion.
The Supreme Court recently made a decision regarding Sonam Raghuvanshi, who was accused of murdering her husband during their honeymoon in Meghalaya. What was the Supreme Court's decision?
The Supreme Court refused to stay the bail granted to Sonam Raghuvanshi. The court noted that she had already been released and was complying with the bail conditions.
The case is quite serious, involving allegations of murder. What were the arguments made against her bail?
The Solicitor General, Tushar Mehta, argued that the allegations against Raghuvanshi were serious and that bail should not be granted on technical grounds.
Despite those serious allegations, the court decided not to intervene with the bail order. Did the court provide any reasoning for this decision?
The court observed that Raghuvanshi had already been released and was complying with the bail conditions, which suggests they were monitoring the situation closely.
Finally, let's discuss the recent presidential election in Peru. Conservative candidate Keiko Fujimori was declared the winner. What were the dominant issues in this election?
The election was largely dominated by concerns over surging crime in Peru. Fujimori's campaign likely addressed these concerns.
Keiko Fujimori has a significant political background as the daughter of a former president. How might her political history influence her presidency?
Fujimori's political legacy and her family's history in Peruvian politics could significantly impact her approach to governance and policy decisions.
It's an interesting dynamic. Her win suggests a conservative shift in Peruvian politics, at least in response to the issues like crime that dominated the election.
That concludes our coverage of today's key stories. We've discussed PM Modi's visit to New Zealand, the acquittal in the Lyra McKee murder case, Trump's appearance on Usha Vance's podcast, the Supreme Court's decision on Sonam Raghuvanshi's bail, and Keiko Fujimori's win in Peru's presidential election.
Thank you, Claire. It's been a comprehensive look at these significant global news events.
Thank you, Alan. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.